Well, just thinking of myself and most technologists, that discover phase that happens when you're tinkering with something at night. You're Googling and you're like, oh, look at that. There's a thing. There's a change management thing that I could implement. I'm going to do it. And, it's like, that's the discover phase. I found the Google site, and I downloaded the program, and now I'm like 10% of the way through going, oh my gosh, this is like a massive thing. And I've told people. And so there was no discover. So as you're in that discover phase, like, how do you bring clarity to that? Like you said, discover is one of the most important things that most people miss when starting a project. Like, define discover.
You got it. So I see project management, as I mentioned, the 3D process. It's really a pyramid, right? And the foundation, the foundation is discover. And honestly, for really complex projects, I spend the majority of my project time on discovery. I ran a network upgrade project for Atlanta for a large hospital system. And the first 2 months of the project, we went to each IDF and we documented things down to the port level. And we built port level diagrams. We traced all the VLANs out. We built it all on paper first, so that way, when it was time to actually do it, our IDF cutovers, when we replaced the entire switch stack and recabled everything, we planned them to be 4 hours, generally less than an hour, because we.
I love what you're saying there, Joe. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think there's some gold there for everybody that's listening in right now, because I think the challenge is when you, like, I've been saying it, but I've been saying it in a way that, it's like, planning is key. And everybody, what this is like, right? Everybody is like, okay, planning, what we're calling discover. Planning is key. And so you open the blank spreadsheet, you're like, okay, step one, I need to figure out what switches are in the IDF. Step two, and like you get to like step 5 and you're like, I don't know, like I can't go in it. Like, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna do it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm wasting my life on this Excel spreadsheet. Yes. So it sounds like the goal that I heard you say is your discover phase is not sitting there in an empty room with an Excel spreadsheet. No. Your discover phase is actually a lot of the doing. It's like, hey, let's log into those switches. Let's pull the configs. And it feels like, as a guy with an IT spirit, it feels like I'm like, wow, that's freeing to me to have somebody be like, okay, I need you to log into those 50 switches, pull the list of VLANs, every single port, and tell, on this Excel spreadsheet, tell me what port it is and what VLAN it is. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, it's so clear instead of the empty Excel. Like, I'm like, I'm doing something now. Like, I feel you see what I'm saying? I feel like I'm my life has purpose because I'm doing. I'm not just sitting there staring at it. Like, I mean, have you guys ever felt that? I know you guys have. Like, you're like, okay, planning, and it just becomes this nightmare. So it sounds like your discover is actually a lot more active than people may think.
Exactly. It's like, I love your example. You think about, I want you to make a meal. What the first thing when you want to make a meal is you go in your fridge and you see what ingredients you have. What do I have? What do I have to work with? And it's the same thing with a project, guys. And that's why it is so unnatural for us as IT people to start a project without a proper discovery, because you don't know what you have to work with. A lot of the times when I refer to discovery, we had projects where we'd be building new servers for a new application installation, and nobody had gathered the requirements from the vendor. If you don't do proper discovery, you're going to be destined to fail, or to the theme of this video, you're doomed. If you don't have a good foundation. Yeah, I mean, so that's, guys, discovery can be active. It should be active. You shouldn't be sitting in a sterile room on a table with a piece of paper. That's terrible. You should be actually gathering data, gathering input. And part of that discovery is not only do you have to gather the technical data, which is something we can all do very well, but you also have to find out who are the key stakeholders, who are the people that can make or break your project. Who do you need to please? Because if you don't please them, it doesn't matter how good your solution is, you're going to fail. You've got to make sure those people, you understand who they are, you talk to them. I know that's painful sometimes, but you have to ask them questions and get them to tell you what they want and to sign off on it. And I'm telling you this from experience, because I have learned the hard way. If you start a project, and even though it may be the best project since sliced bread, if you don't have the key stakeholders buy-in and your leadership doesn't sign off on your project, it's probably going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.